What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about the rumor that Square Enix is panicking over Final Fantasy XVI's pre-order. So this was several days old, and I mean, really, that's kind of the gist of it. It is a rumor. This is not confirmed in the slightest, and the basic idea is that it's the pre-order info, because obviously the game's not out yet. All the info that they have, all the data that they have, is on the pre-orders, and again, the pre-orders are lower than they thought it would be, and there's slight panic, again, was the quote. So I want to say a couple things first. Number one, this immediately erupted into like a console warrior thing. Now, as I've said in the past, I hate that stuff. I think that stuff is stupid. And to be honest with you, I don't really think it's all that much a console warrior thing. I see people talking about, okay, well, this is what happens when, well, actually, there were two different, I guess, ways you could go. Some people were saying maybe people just don't want this Final Fantasy game. Jez Corden actually had a really weird take. I normally like him, at least for his rumors and stuff, but he talked about how maybe people don't want a Final Fantasy Devil May Cry game. Maybe they just want a Final Fantasy game. I think that's totally stupid. I don't think that's true at all. And then you have the other side where, okay, well, maybe this is what happens when you don't put it on PC or Xbox. I mean, there is probably some truth to that, right? If you put it on PC, if you put it on Xbox day one, now the game is probably coming on PC. There's been no official confirmation, but I think all signs point, even what Yoshi P has said, I think it's absolutely going to happen. It'll probably happen a year or so after the game comes out. So it will come out on PC, and actually his plan that this game is going to sell over like a year and a half versus like, say, 1 month, right? I think does indicate game's going to have some sales, game is going to be on PlayStation, game will come to PC, year and a half later, that will boost sales later on, right? So it seems like it's kind of in the business plan that that's what's going to happen. And then Xbox. So, I mean, it's the question, I guess, would be how many copies do you think Xbox would sell? And is it 1 million? Is it 1.5 million? Is it 500,000? And is that, enough to make them happy, to not think that it's slightly panicking? Another thing to throw out there, isn't Square Enix one of those companies? I know EA tends to be one of them as well, but those two is kind of what comes to my mind when a game sells like pretty good and then they expect it to sell better. Remember when like Battlefield sold like 7 or 8 million and they said, oh, well, we want it to sell like 12. And so they consider it like a disappointment. Remember that? And that sometimes happens, I think, with these companies. So who knows? Maybe the game is tracking well. Maybe they say, hey, the game sold 2 million units over the first, 2, 3, 4 days. And they say, well, we were expecting 2.5, and so there's that, I guess, element to it. It could be controversial. I actually want to believe this one. Maybe people just aren't pre-ordering games anymore, and I actually like that thought. This is a thing I think more people should do, is not pre-order games, what with the day one patches and games coming out not in their greatest conditions and stuff. And I'm not saying Final Fantasy 16 is doomed or it's going to come out and it's going to be completely broken, but I think the gaming industry has sent us a sign, and you had pre-order bonuses back in the day that kind of stirred that up as well. But I think where we're at now, there really isn't too big of a reason to pre-order games. There was a huge push, I'd say, back in like the early 2010s, maybe the late 2000s, and then pre-orders, I feel like, kind of dipped after that, and now maybe they're picking back up. But the base point I'm making is this: maybe people, again, just aren't pre-ordering it. Maybe you just buy it day one. When I buy games, this channel, right? When I buy a game, I buy it the night before. So if you want to call that a pre-order, I guess it kind of technically is. Sometimes I wait, I guess, till the official day. That's when I buy it. I don't pre-order it 2 months ahead of time. I haven't done that in years at this point now. And that's me. So I think the average Joe might do the same thing. Maybe they don't, but maybe just people aren't doing it. And that doesn't mean the game's not going to sell well. The game could get low 9s whenever the review scores go live. The game could come out that day, and yeah, maybe the pre-orders are soft, but the game can do incredibly well. And again, that's the thing with this slightly panicking thing. What is good? What are they expecting versus what it is? Those are the things with the secrecy of the gaming industry, for how much they want to just talk about everything and they keep these things secret. It's annoying because, okay, well, is the game tracking to, again, sell like 1 million units? Is it going to do like 500,000 units in the first like week? Because, okay, that would be bad, right? But is it going to do like 2 million, 3 million? Because that's fine. At least, I mean, to me, maybe Square Enix wanted, again, 2.5, 3.5. Maybe they just wanted slightly more. I don't know, but we don't know these things because nobody really says it. So I'm honestly not worried. I think with the PC version that's probably coming a year and a half down the line, that'll help. Maybe that sells an additional, I don't know, million, slightly less than a million. I think the game will do well on PS5. I think review scores will probably help. And also, I mean, well, two things. One, Final Fantasy is big. I think that can kind of carry itself, but it's also, and this is like a thing people have said because of this rumor, Final Fantasy's never been like the biggest franchise like of all time. This is not a franchise that sells like 25 million units on each game. You know what I mean? This is not a Rockstar where, you know, Red Dead sells 50 million on a bad day, right? Like that's not what this is. So if this game sells like 5 to 10 lifetime, that's probably in the norm. And people even bringing up for Final Fantasy VII, the remake, that started extremely hot. It started very, very quickly in terms of sales, and then it kind of evaporated, I guess, over time. So maybe Square Enix is more worried, or maybe they're going to be worried for 7 Rebirth. That's definitely something, you know, you can keep an eye on. That tends to happen, right? Even like The Last of Us Part 2 kind of had that situation. Sold literally insane, actually, in the first like 3-4 days, and then largely, I mean, in terms of percentages, it kind of stops. Like after that first month, it sold a very, very low percentage after than it did in that month. So I mean, those things can happen. I guess if you do well enough in that first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'd be okay. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. I have faith that it'll be fine. It could be a game that kind of gains traction over time with it being good, with it being Final Fantasy over the summer months. So let me know what you guys think of this in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.